You know what time it is. You know what time it is.
How firm thy friendship. Oh,
you know what time it is. Roll with them boys of the fall. You know what time it is. On the ground with a nose for the ball. You know what time it is. Blood, sweat, and them tears for this game. Leaving it all out on the field with no fear for you lames. And it's Buckeyes by a billion. We in the building with over 100,000. We represent from the uttermost to the public housing. If we don't play, our wide receivers got your secondary shook, so they cook them like Bobby Flay. Hey, stay out of my way and trust me, cause I know it's a way. Somebody please give this brother an eye. Come on.
What up, Buckeye Nation? Welcome to the Buckeye Boys, where we talk college football with real fans. I'm Devin. Got a good show planned for the night, man. Going to dive into some different aspects. I'm always coming to you as a fan of the game, a student of the game, but tonight got my good friend Duke going to be joining us here in just a minute. It's nice to get that kind of perspective, a perspective from somebody that has played the game from the highest level. Let's be honest. A lot of the YouTubers, including myself, haven't played the game at that high level, yet we sit and talk about that game every day. So I love getting Duke on here, man, to dive into some of these things we talk about every day. For those of you that have heard him on here before, I would advise when he is talking, listen. He's been there. He's done that. So going to be a good show. Going to dive into everything we've been talking about, but just get his opinion, again, from a perspective that's been there, done that, man. We got some new Buckeye trees going in the Grove, but before we dive into the show, I need you guys to do what you guys have been killing it at, and that's hitting that like button, that subscribe button. Super chats are open too, man. This is an opportunity for you guys. Get a super chat in there to ask Duke a question, me a question, whatever you want, both on the Scoop and the Buckeye Boys channel. So without further ado, he's not considered a guest on this channel, and he just cut off right before I brought him on. He literally dropped out of the room. He'll be popping back up. Okay, here he is. All right. One more time, Duke. We'll try it again. Without further ado, here's Duke. What's up, bro?
What's up, man?
That was horrible timing. I was literally like, without further ado, went to click your thing and you disappeared. I was like, you can't plan that better. How you been, man?
I'm good, man. How are you?
I'm good. Hey, how's that book going for you guys? People scooping that thing up a little bit. You got a copy? You want to put it up there, guys? Because you guys remember last time Duke was on here, man, him and his wife wrote a book called Fourth and Goal, I believe. Yeah, a recruiting playbook for football parents, man. So listen, check that thing out. This is a new age of recruiting, and that might be the first book breaking down this new age of recruiting. You can't go to a library and get a book that's been around forever, because recruiting is completely different. It's completely different
and changing. Yeah. So any little bit helps along the way.
Yeah, for sure. But Duke, obviously, we've had some things happen with this Buckeye team. We've had Brian Hartline leave. We've had the Big Ten title game happen, and now we're getting ready for some of these playoffs. And us Buckeye fans, we've been having a conversation, obviously, about kind of what happened in this Indiana game, and we're over it. We're moving on. Like, I've never lost hope in this Buckeye team. I think we're going back to back. Ultimately, I've come to the conclusion it's a blessing, man, that this team went through this, because we saw what happened last year when it happened. But I want to back up before that. You were a player, college, NFL, so you've been a part of teams when coaches has left. From your perspective, man, when Coach Hartline left, is it a distraction, and how hard is it to keep everybody focused if you have a game in 3-4 days?
Yeah, it's depending on how it was introduced, or the timeline. It is a disruption, because you're in a routine, right? And that's a surprise. whenever it comes, you know what I mean? Even a week before, 3 days before, it's going to be, it's going to be surprised. It's going to be on guys' minds, reminiscing about, how things were, thinking about how things are going to be, going forward, who's going to become. So all those thoughts going through, kids' heads, are, coming to effect. It's just natural, right? And so yeah, you can say it didn't, affect anything, but we're human, and the kids are human. There's going to be some kind of disruption, but what I will say, there's also they have a great leader in Ryan Day, who plans for these situations. So I'm sure they were right back to regularly scheduled practice and day to day. But yeah, it is a disruption. If you say it isn't, it's not true.
Yeah. And I want to be clear, like, I'm not asking that in a sense of trying to like bash Coach Hartline or anything. Am I frustrated with the timing? Absolutely. But that's just the game, man. That's where college football is now. It's not Hartline's fault. The opportunity presented himself at that time.
Right.
Now, when you dive into the details, would I have rather him waited until after signing day? Maybe. Yeah, but still, in terms of the game, and you get more aggravated. If you want to have aggravation, get aggravation at, man, somebody's got to put some guardrails on college football right now, because it's getting pretty wild. But yeah, I like how you put that. I mean, we're humans. Even if you are like in the top of your game and have an elite leader like Ryan Day, it's impossible for it to not be some type of distraction in some type of way. But when you dive into this thing, obviously, I think losing to Indiana made that question and that topic a little more fiery. You know what I mean? Like, hey, see, we told you this was a huge distraction. So let's dive into that a little bit. First, give me your overall take, your thoughts as a parent of a Buckeye player on that Indiana game, man. Tell me what was going through your mind and where you're at now with that.
Well, one, I knew Indiana was a good team. You know what I mean? They got a good program. They have a great coach, who's a great motivator, and those kids, rally behind him, just like they do behind Day. But coming into it, they had a little extra motivation. Coming to it, thinking they're the underdog, so they had a chip on your shoulder. So I mean, and they came out with a playing at a very high level. They played their best game of the season, right? And lost, and they won by 3 points. So for me, that's the silver lining, right? So the timing of the loss was was good as well. I mean, because I don't see it as a loss. I see it as an opportunity to learn where we need to improve going into, this playoff run, right? Which is, the national championship is the ultimate goal. Yes, they wanted to win win the Big Ten championship, but, it didn't happen. They came out, with their hair on fire, looking to prove that, they are, they should be in the conversation, with top team and all of that. And we didn't match that energy, right? We didn't get to their level. And that happens. That is a part of the game. Again, these are 18, 19, 20-year-olds, who just didn't rise to the occasion. But like I said, earlier on a previous point, all the coaching staff, sees that, they try to adjust. And again, it's a silver lining going into the playoffs. We know the areas that we need to improve on, that, teams will try to exploit, when we play them. And then, we got the extra preparation, 3 weeks of preparation to fix those things and improve on them. So, yeah, it sucked. But we got a lot of football left and a lot of time to get better and improve and come back, at a higher level, in the combo.
Yeah. Yeah, man. When you dive into that game, I'll start with the offensive side of the ball.
Mhm.
First, I'll say this. The crazy thing about that game is like, I didn't, as a fan, I didn't come out of that game thinking, oh my gosh, we don't stand a chance at winning a national title. I came out of there literally with just as much confidence as I had before because the way we played, the way I know these Buckeyes can play
Mhm.
was not what they did on that field, and we only
Yeah.
lost by 3 points to a very, very good Indiana team. This isn't an
Right.
excuse, right? Indiana beat us. They played better than us. We got
Yeah.
out coached in that game. They deserved to win that game, but offensively, obviously, there were some things not clicking with these Buckeyes. You get in the red zone twice, you don't score any points. Offensive line having a lot of trouble.
Yeah.
Julian Sand playing one of his worst games of the season. Some
Mhm.
questionable play calling down in the red zone, kind of all the things that go
Yeah.
in
Oh,
every time
yeah.
you lose a football game.
Yeah.
It's a list of,
Yeah.
of all the same things, man. But tell me about that perspective because it's like, all right, when you want to look at that game offensively, what needs to be done better? Well, players need to execute better. Coaches need to get back to the drawing board and get better prepared schematically, and
Uh-huh.
maybe some changes in the offensive line. And those are all things. We have 3 weeks. Those are all things that I don't want to say can easily be fixed, but it's not like we don't have the players and coaches to do that on the roster right now. What's your thoughts on that?
Exactly. Exactly. Yeah, and I feel the same way. Having played defensive line, I look at both of those, and I felt like our offensive line did not raise their level of play. Uh, Indiana's D line was, aggressive, man, and we were bringing it, and it wasn't matched, and they dominated our offensive line. That's just, that I saw the same thing, everybody else saw, and that frustrated me, just thinking like, dang, all right, I'm not. These dudes are coming at me. Listen, I got to step it up. You know what I mean? I got to fight. So I was disappointed in that wasn't matched. But I'm sure the O line coach, off the court, they were too, and I'm sure they were in there, in their face, like, hey, you gotta pick it up. But unfortunately, it didn't happen. But we know going into they can make those adjustments because the same thing happened in the last game of the season last year. Like physically, we got dominated, and that was the difference. And going into the playoffs, they flipped that switch and made the reset and did the things necessary to like bring that intensity. And that's what the playoffs is called. Just like pros, college, it's a different level in the playoffs, and you meet it or you're gonna get beat. And I think there's a lot of experienced guys on the team that know that and will not allow that to happen again. So
Yeah.
yeah.
Yeah, I agree with you, man. On the other side of the ball, after a loss, it's hurtful. You don't expect to lose. So I've
Mhm.
heard some couple people on some shows, read the message boards about people wanting to nitpick this defense. And for me, right, if I give you my opinion on the defensive side of the ball, that was a national title, like, you know, defensive game for the
Yeah,
defensive side of the ball. They showed up and played ball. You know what I'm
heck
saying?
yeah. Yeah,
They,
no,
they
they
gave up
played there.
13 points.
Right,
You,
right.
so I'm not going to sit here and nitpick. Yeah, some corners got not necessarily burnt, but they got beat on just really good throws and
Very
players
good
making
throw.
plays. Like that's
Mhm.
football. It happens. So definitely on the defensive side of the ball, I didn't see anything where I was like, oh wow, this defense really got shown all these weak spots and holes. No, dude, this defense
No.
showed up and showed out. I'm sure for you as
Yeah.
I follow Riley Pettijohn, a linebacker, watching what Sonny Styles and Arvell Reese are out there on the
Listen,
field
man.
doing. You've got to be excited for Riley with what
Oh
James
man.
Laurinaitis is able to do, considering Riley is like athletically similar to both of those guys. So
Yeah.
to like kind of project a little bit there. So talk about that defensive performance that you saw.
Yeah, well, I do want to shout out Sonny because I mean that dude was balling. I mean, he was in the zone, man, and it was fun to watch. Um, but just like just like anything else, it's never going to be like 100%, right? So again, there were some glaring spots that we need to shore up, from the from our DBs, and it's just cleaning up technique. So because they were in position to make a play, honestly, but technically were off. It could have opened up so they can see the ball coming and make a play on the ball. It could have been more violent, raking after the catch. I think about Lorenzo's play. So it's small things, but they get bigger in the playoffs. So, but they're easy fixes, and yeah, and the saying, defense wins championships, and I'm gonna take this defense every day and twice on Sunday against any team in this country, any team. Offense, you're running, you can have a scrambling quarterback, a pocket quarterback. This defense is going to handle them all. So that's encouraging.
Yeah, I mean, I put it to you like this: like, if if our kicker makes that 27-yard chip shot,
Right.
we got a chance to go win the game. If we win that game, does anybody say anything other than, dang, our defense is really good? If I would have told you before the game, hey, our defense will only allow Indiana to score 13 points, how high would your confidence level have been that the Buckeyes are going to win that game? It would have been extremely
Right, yeah.
high. So I'm
I would've
still
started
super
with
high on this.
13.
Yeah. When you look at this defense, man, there's a couple Buckeyes on this team that are going to get some trees in the grove, meaning they made first team All-American. Caleb Downs, two-time unanimous All-American. Arvell Reese made all but one of the lists for first team All-American. JJ unanimous. K-Mac unanimous. Caden Curry, which I love that Caden Curry got it. Carson Hinsman, Sonny Styles, I love that as well. So a safety, both our linebackers, a defensive tackle, and both our defensive ends all are getting trees in the grove. This is ridiculous. What I want you to do, man, being a defensive end yourself, do talk about what you've seen from Caden Curry and Kenyatta Jackson this season, especially Caden Curry coming into the season. Nobody was talking about him. He doesn't have the measurables. The NFL's not going to fall in love with him strictly because of that. He's not going to test well. But how can this defensive end who doesn't have the measurables play nose guard from at time to time and still dominate? The dude he's a specimen, bro. Talk about our defensive line, bro.
Listen, he doesn't have the measurables because they don't measure heart. That dude was a baller, man. Like, I mean, he definitely, was in the moment and like raised his level. And I think like every big game he has shown up, in a way that, changed the course of a game. And I'm not gonna lie either, because I'm looking at ends. I'm like, I wasn't sure, what type of impact he would have, like on the team. But boy, he shows up, man. He shows up in a way that that galvanizes the guys, and makes them all get into a whole nother gear. And that I would say he's the heartbeat of that defense. Him and Caden.
Yeah. It's wild what Matt Patricia has been able to do with this defense. The defensive line calls themselves no names. They still call themselves that. Well, they have names now, so it's pretty wild. But if you, based off being a football player yourself, what you saw in Indiana, just give a quick synopsis of some things that you think this team and this coaching staff is working on to get prepared for either Miami or Texas A&M, right? Obviously, you got the offensive line. Obviously, you got the red zone. But coming from somebody that's played at the highest level, man, what are some areas, like how do you think this coaching staff is approaching these players that just lost Big Ten title game? Not a lot of veterans on this team, right? A lot of juniors, not a lot of seniors. Last year, a lot of seniors, a lot of leadership. So it's got to be a little different for this coaching staff, man. Talk to us about, based off your experience, what do you think's going on right now inside the Woody?
So, I mean, going to it's detail. It's going to be detail because of the lack of experience, right? So you have to keep that top of mind. So detail on your technique, detail on your execution, and intensity. So that's what they're going to harp on. You got to be where you're supposed to be. You have to you have to execute at a even higher level, like in these playoffs. And both Miami and A&M have really good defensive line, like really good defensive line. So I think a lot of the focus is going to be on creating the right matchups as far as like protections go, against them, to throw them off their game, right? That's what you have to do, give them a variety of protections, so they're not, timing the snap, so they're not, calling plays, based on, what they saw in film or any of the tendencies that, we may be given off, as far as our offensive linemen go. Like for me, that's the biggest, the biggest spot and most important spot that needs to be shored up going to, because they have you think back to Super Bowls of the past, the Giants, their defensive line won those Super Bowls. Just because of the level of play, the level that they played at. I mean, they were dominating the Patriots. I mean, it took over and it made it easier for everybody else, right? So we have to make sure that doesn't happen versus whoever we play. And then consequently, our defensive line has to do the same thing, and we're perfectly capable of doing that.
Yeah. Man, I got to ask you this. Like I said, I'm a student of the football game, learning more and more every single day. So I love learning. When I watched these Buckeyes, when I went back and watched that All-22 film, offensive line on the silent count, right? The left guard, Luke Montgomery, taps Carson Hinsman. They snap the ball. First off, I guess, as a defensive lineman, do you like that? Because you can time that up. The timing doesn't change ever. I never saw him change it at all. Second question, going on a silent count, how can the offensive line switch that up so the defensive line doesn't just tee off every time? Because that whole Indiana game, not during the game, but after, when I rewatched it, I was like, dang, bro, I just feel like this defensive line can just tee off on our offensive linemen because of this silent count thing, man. Just dive into that a little bit, because it's very curious to me why, like, the offensive coaching staff wouldn't change timing up or something up there to give some advantage for the offensive line, especially with how they're playing.
Listen, I am teeing off on that. Are you kidding me? I mean, and that was, for me and Dwight, I mean, that was, that was a pass rush move. That was a pass rush move. Was, a knee flinching, knowing he's about to kick, knowing they like, hurry up. All right, it's on one. We're out, and timing that snap to get a cue, like a tap. And I'm watching tape after tape and knowing All right, after he taps him, his arm comes back. It's not. I'm gone. I'm a sacrifice. I'm a sacrifice one offsides just to get my timing right. But boy, after that, you keep doing that, it's a wrap. It is a wrap. So that needs to change. And that's the opportunity too. To draw some offsides because like I said, if I am timing that, I'm like, okay, if I'm self scouting, and I see that, like, okay, there's an opportunity we can draw them off sides. If we break that tendency, and that's all it is. If you're good, doing a good job of self scouting, you'll recognize that too, and make an adjustment or use it to your advantage. But you do have to vary the snap and your snap count, cadence, and all of that, just to slow slow that pass rush down. And I trust that they're going to do something like that. And then the quarterback comes into play as well. And that when you're going against a good a good pass rush, you have to take an advantage if you have the ability to scramble and get a few yards. You have to. I mean, that's huge. That's one of the things that frustrated me a little bit in the game. I felt like Julian had opportunities to do that and didn't. Either held the ball or threw it away. Look, if you can get 3 yards as opposed to in another down, I'd rather you get that than just throwing it away. Get the 3 yards. You don't have to take the hit. Just get the 2, 3. For you, it's just like a 2-3 yard run. We're still moving the change and we're positive, on the sticks. So hopefully, that's emphasized. Hey, scramble. It's nothing wrong with scramble, and it's not just Julian. I see that in a lot of quarterbacks trying to prove that I'm a pocket passer. So I'm going to hold this ball into the last minute for somebody. No, it is not open. It's not going to be there. And I'm going to thank you as a defensive lineman for doing that, because I'm going to make you pay for it. And you have to understand that. And so start using that ability to your advantage and to help your offensive line. Right. So, and again, like I said, I hope they're seeing that and emphasizing that in their self-scouting going into these next games.
Yeah. I mean, that's where you just rely on the coaches, but it's always harder to implement than us fans think it is. Like when I'm watching it and I just get so curious, like when I see JJ one-on-one far side of the field with a freshman corner, not even D'Angelo Pons, and we run to the short side of the field, I'm like, can they not just check out of whatever play and just toss it up to our number one wide receiver in the nation? But obviously there's something there that I'm missing, right, as a football student. And also with the tap thing, as I'm watching it, when I got into the third quarter, I was like, all it's going to take is them change the timing up one time on this snap, and it will be offsides. Because I'm telling you right now, Indiana's defensive line, they were coming off hot because they had that thing timed up perfectly. They had it timed up perfect.
They did, man. And listen, you're not. Look, we saw the same stuff.
Yeah.
Like when I see that, and I said the same exact thing, man. When I see, I mean, the dude that was on him was like, he probably was 5'8", 5'9", and he singled
5'8".
up. I'm like, look, even if it's not in the playbook, I'm saying, hey, dog, if you see this, I'm coming to you, because I mean it's easy money. It's just it's the give up, and please put that in. Please, I mean, look, I'm if he singled up in the red zone, listen, I'm trying 2 fades before I go anywhere else. Whoever singled up, him or Carnell, whoever singled up, I'm going to them. And I mean, it can be as simple as that. Like, hey, look, here's the play. Whoever singled up, go there.
Yeah,
so you can't go to anybody. And then
I know.
Then you're going to open up for Max and our tight ends, which at times will be a mismatch as well. But listen, if JJ singled up, that should be an automatic alert. We don't have to talk
Yeah.
about it.
I mean, in the red zone, he was singled up with he had inside leverage because they were playing him outside the whole time. So, yeah, if you think Julian's off and you don't want to throw that fade ball, I understand that's one of the harder throws to make. Even a slant, bro. I mean, JJ's
And
too
it's
big. He's
And
too
Flint does
big,
that.
bro. Yeah,
He
yeah,
is.
he's just too big, man.
He
But
is. Well, look, I'm
you know,
going. Listen, I am riding my horse till the wheels fall off. If you're giving me that, like if you are that confident that this little dude can handle him, then you have to show me. And
yeah,
you have to show me. And then
yeah,
you see like when they did go to him and he got those big gains, that safety started creeping over, right?
mm-hmm.
So hey, until that happens, I'm going right there. I'm going
Yeah,
right there.
yeah. So,
And
obviously,
on another note, Julian can throw those fades.
yeah, for sure. Yeah.
He absolutely can. That dude throws one of the prettiest balls I've seen. And he got touch
Yeah.
and everything. He can make that throw.
Yeah. So obviously we're on the same page there. It got a little frustrating watching that Indiana game, but let me ask you now, right? With Brian Hartline being the head coach at USF, he said he's going to stay with the team, right? No, first question, do you think they're changing up their offensive game plan in the red zone? Because they got down in the red zone. In the second half, they marched right down the field in the red zone pretty easily, I might add, and didn't score any points. So do you think that game, right, when they go back and watch it, they're going to change their philosophy in the red zone? And do you think it's possible for Brian Hartline to still hold on to 100% of the play calling responsibilities while being, I mean, he's coaching his team right now in a bowl game, USF. I think they're playing right now, Old
No,
Dominion.
he's not coaching.
Oh, he's not coaching it?
No, he's not there. They got their
But
some good redhead dude.
oh yeah, somebody else.
Yeah.
I mean, his team is in a bowl game.
Yeah.
Transfer portals there, all that stuff. So you think they're gonna make a few changes in the red zone? And do you think Ryan Day gets more involved on the offensive side of the ball a little bit?
Yeah, I mean he has to, and but it's also going on with the Tulane head coach. He's still for the job. He's doing the same thing, and he wants to see Tulane have the success that I guess he feels they're trending towards, and I feel that he got them to that point and wants to continue to be the part of. And if I think if Heartline, UCF, and USF, and they thought that it was going to be a distraction, they would have nixed this already, right? So they clearly feel like, all right, we can handle this, like no big deal. They allowed him to to do that. He has people in place down there handling what they need to handle, so it's not a distraction. So I would venture to guess that that everybody's comfortable with him calling the plays, and if a play needs to be changed or they're not comfortable with it, he's the head coach. He can change it and say no.
Yeah.
I don't want to do that. So I'm comfortable with that, and you have to be, right, because you can't have everybody uncertain about you're all in or all out. So that's players and coaches. So if you're all in, let's keep going, riding this train, and win another natty. Or if you feel like it's going to be a distraction, then move on, and we'll handle it from here. So I'm sure they had that had that discussion, and they're comfortable with moving forward how they are.
All right, I got
And
you.
And it does help with and that does help with just with continuity too. So so the guys are comfortable knowing he's going to be there.
Yeah, keeping the same routine and all that. So
Right.
there's a plus side to keeping them around. You could go either way with it. I totally understand that. Last thing, Duke, and I'll get you off here, man. Obviously, we found out after the Indiana game that right guard Tegra Shabola played that game injured enough to have a surgery on the upper body. Some people were saying probably shouldn't have played that game. Obviously, it's easy to say now with watching kind of what happened in that game. But my point behind that is after playing 12 games, Duke, they got 3 weeks to heal.
Mm-hmm.
You played a lot of football in your day. For those players that were a little dinged up, Carnell and JJ and all that, how healthy, first off, how damaged do you think players' bodies were after 12 games? And do you think, and how much healing can be done in 3 weeks? So, like, how close to 100% healthy do you think this team will be coming into this next playoff game?
Shoot, if they if they were banged up and played that last game, excuse me, I would venture to guess, in 3 weeks they'll be back to 100%. And with how the season went, right? I think they did a good job. It wasn't called load management, but with how the games went, it became that. So no, I think outside of the guys who had true like injuries and dings, like who the guys who didn't have those, shoot, they're going to be back at fresh legs and and everything. And the guys who were dinged up 3 weeks, I mean, shoot, almost a whole month of of recovery to like rehab and like get fresh and intensify your treatments. So yeah, I expect everybody to be at 100%. Who didn't have a injury like Tegra. So yeah,
that's good, man.
This is, I mean, and that's one of the blessings in having a bye is that for for the recovery. So they have everything in place to maximize treatment and take advantage of that. So everybody is at full strength.
Yeah, I mean, last year Ryan Day did the same thing with that team. Last year's team averaged 60 plays per game, and I think everybody in the country would agree that the Buckeyes just seemed a couple steps above every team in last year's playoffs. And if I think to this year, they did the same thing, not that many plays. And if you're a Buckeye fan, you're thinking, hey, I wonder when we're going to see that start taking effect. Well, it's going to be this next game, I think, is where you will see the benefits of the slow play that these players are about to come out after 3 weeks, and also after playing a full game and a half less snaps on average than the rest of the country. That more than any other team in the playoffs, these Buckeyes have played a game and a half less than any other team in these playoffs right now. You're going to see it now. And the Miami or Texas A&M game is where you will see that difference. They're playing this weekend. All right. Now, the Buckeyes did the same thing last year, but what Ryan Day has done this year, similar to what he did last year. So I expect this game where you'll be able to see some of those results of the fewer play calls, the slow, pace of play during all that. So I'm excited to watch these guys. Last question, man. I lied to you. I got one more. I just got to know, man. You have conversations with Riley. Any insight on the mentality of this team? Any insight on how they took that loss and where their mindset is now as a team? Like, how turned up are they? Are they putting the Indiana wide receiver that flipped him off and said F Ohio State on replay in the locker room? What are they doing here? How focused, zoned in, and stoked is Riley? And if he's stoked, the rest of the team is. So where are we at? A little insight here.
We haven't had a an in-depth talk. We'll talk when he comes home for the holidays, about mindset going into it. But after the game, dudes were pissed. They were pissed. I mean, and chomping at the bit to get back at it. So with that little like nugget, I already know that all of them turned up. All of them turned up, and they're hoping, like, hey, we're they see how the the playoff brackets are. Like, I hope Indiana makes it to the national championship, so we can have a rematch. So I know with that in front of them, yeah, man, these dudes are just chomping at the bit to get back at it. I know that. Not even having the conversation. I know that because
Yeah.
it's just right there, right? Because they
Yeah.
know that, hey, best out of three, it's a wrap. They're not even going to win that. They won't win again. They won't
No.
beat them. They can't because
Yeah.
they shot their load that game, and they did. I mean, and kudos to them. They prepared and put their all into that, and now they're going into something that they haven't experienced. We have, right? Our coaching staff has. So so hopefully they can make it to the national championship, right? We know what it takes to to get there, and then we also have thanks to them, we know where we need to shore up and get better at going into this.
Yeah.
So hopefully we can have a rematch, but we'll see. But I know our guys are ready and are going to be
You
ready.
can tell, man, that was like winning the Super Bowl to them. They stormed the
Oh, yeah.
field. I mean, dude, they cheered so hard. One of their impact defensive tackles is out for the year from cheering.
I saw
He
that,
literally
man. That was crazy. I mean, actually, in his defense, he didn't even do a lot. He just jumped up
I
to give him a
know.
high five and came down crazy. And I'm just like, oh man, I felt so bad for him, man. I really did.
Oh,
But
you know
I
how
was like, I think it's like started on mute, or I didn't see like the description of it, and then I saw him in a wheelchair. I'm like, dang, man. I hope he wasn't a senior. Was he? Was he a senior?
I don't know. I didn't look into it, but
Yeah,
yeah, I'm
that's bad.
laughing, but for the kid, that
Yeah,
has to be frustrating. That I hate seeing that for any
that's
kid. I don't
crazy.
care what team they play for. I hate seeing that, but
Yeah, I thought
the
that only happened
looking,
to kickers.
yeah. I know, man. We'll see, dude.
Yeah,
I love it. I think Ryan Day, with the experience he got last year in these playoffs and the experience he had from the heartbreaks last year, he is the
yeah.
perfect coach for this team to have in this
Mhm.
scenario right here. And if anybody in the country can take these players that is on Ohio State's roster right now to a back-to-back national title, it is Ryan Day. The dude did
Yeah.
it last year, and they went through way harder times last year than this year. You know what I mean?
Mhm.
Like last year's losses were way more heartbreaking than the Big Ten title game to Indiana, the number one team in the nation, right? I don't need to go into
Yeah.
detail how that was. But Duke,
And,
appreciate you
and but
coming on,
but
brother.
also I'll say to that as well. You got a defensive coordinator been to how many Super Bowls? Super Bowls.
Oh yeah,
So
4.
there's that. So
Yeah,
there's that
yeah,
experience. Right, right.
yeah,
So yeah,
yeah,
I think we're in a good spot. And it's time to like move on. Let's think about how we're going to match up and our strengths versus another team's, not where where we're weak, where we can possibly beat. I think the only team that can beat us is us.
yeah.
And
I agree with
I
that.
honestly believe that. And then
Yeah,
that's not a homer opinion. That's just that's based off what I've seen and the trust that I have in the coaches making the adjustments and changes to maximize the talent that we have.
yeah. Well, you're not the only one, man. Vegas still has us the betting favorite to go back to back, man. A lot of people are still choosing the Buckeyes to win this national title. But hey, you going to the parents' tailgate at the Cotton Bowl?
Probably.
That
Yeah,
I
it's
don't
here.
think they've.
I'll be there nice and early.
I know. I don't think they've scheduled. I'll see you there, bro. I'll be there again. Didn't I? Hold up.
Yeah, we bumped into each
Did I
other at
meet?
the last one.
Yeah, I seen you
Yeah,
last year there.
yeah,
Yeah, I
yeah.
remember. I
We
remember
sure
that. Yeah,
did.
I'll see you there. That same
Yeah.
spot. I was literally the first one there. I'll be the first one there again, unless you beat me to that spot. But I'll be there. I'm dressed a little warmer this time. But Duke, I appreciate you coming on, bro.
I appreciate
I'll
you
see you at the
having me.
Cotton Bowl, brother.
All right, see you.
All right, see you, man.
All right.
There you have Buckeye Nation. Duke Pettyjohn, father of Riley Pettyjohn, future superstar linebacker here for the Buckeyes. He will be making impact plays next year. It was really hard for me, guys, to not do 2 videos today because, boy, do I have some nuggets, transfer portal nuggets, about players that the Buckeyes are in on. I had a great conversation today with the source about some targets for the Buckeyes in the transfer portal that we are very confident about already. So tomorrow I'll be on with Nevada and Sports Talk Jay at 7:10. Man, I want to try to get that video put out before that, because if I know it, then other people are going to know it by tomorrow and everybody's going to start reporting on it. So I want to get this information out to you guys because I know I heard it and I was stoked, man. Eric McFarland's been on the show, friend of the Buckeye boys. I'll have him on again down the road, reclassified to the 2027 class. He was ranked the number 6 prospect nationally. If the Buckeyes land him, which if he committed right now, he'd commit to the Buckeyes. That's ridiculous. Eric McFarland, Jameer Perez, Chris Henry Jr., all on the same team. I mean, boy, oh boy. Boy, oh boy. Everybody wondering about Jameer Brown, Hartline leaving. He will sign with the Buckeyes. But I'll try to get that video out tomorrow. Sometime I will try. But yeah, you guys stay tuned. Tomorrow, 7:10 is going to be a great show. Sports Talk Jay. We're going to dive into just all kind of stuff. Hit that like button for me. And again, over there on the Buckeye Boys channel, I'm not sure what happened, but you guys have been killing it with hitting that subscription button. So please, man, keep doing that. Keep the support up. Everything that comes to the Buckeye Boys channel gets brought back out to you guys that watch the show through ticket giveaways, trivia questions. I still owe you guys 2 $50 trivia question giveaways. I do not forget those things. Y'all will get them on the Scoop channel. Hit that subscribe button as well, man. We at 38K and counting. Hold on, let me look. We got to get to 40. We got to get to 40. Let's do this. All right, we're going to need 1,900 more. That's easy. 1,900 more, and Scoop will have 40K subscribers. Hit the like button as well. Want to make sure I didn't. Susan, thank you so much for becoming a member at Buckeye Scoop. Appreciate you, Susan. Let's see. I think that's it. Yeah, Steely, appreciate you. He said he reposted this stream on X. If you guys could do that, repost the stream on all your social media accounts. That's a huge help to us Buckeye YouTubers. So I would appreciate the heck out of that. And I had something else to say. It slipped my mind. What was I going to say, guys? What was I going to say? It was important. It really was. It was important. But either way, I'll remember it eventually. But again, guys, seriously, from the bottom of my heart, I appreciate you guys. Do not forget, be the light. There is plenty of darkness in this world today. Spread positivity. Love your neighbor. If you don't got anything good to say, don't say anything at all. That's the hard thing to do. It's hard to be the light. It's easy to be mean and cruel. It's very difficult to be kind and nice. So if you're a prideful person, use that pride to do the more difficult thing. Love God, love Jesus, love your neighbor. Man, it's a great time to be a Buckeye, guys. Love you guys. Go Buckeyes. OH.